Welcome to the CFL on TSN. We hope you enjoyed the live coverage of the PGA Championship. It is 7-0 Calgary over the Edmonton Eskimos on our Sunday night special. We'll now take you there live. Joffrey Reynolds has just scored for the Stamps. Let's take you to McMahon. Here's Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona, doing it right. 27-yard touchdown run for Joffrey Reynolds. That's the first opening drive points for the Stampeders all season long. 2 plays, 57 yards, and the Eskimos in a hole early. Kelly Campbell on the return. Trying to get outside with blocking. And a good play there to bring him down.
Good blocking here for Joffrey Reynolds on the touchdown. Tim O'Neill and Dan Comiskey. O'Neill's going to come out here, and he's going to end up on Maurice Lloyd, and Comiskey's going to step out and take Dario Romero in the next gap. You see the gap cancellation here. Now, Mo Lloyd's got that gap, but Romero has not slid into the second gap beside him. That's the gap that Joffrey Reynolds is going to take. Dan Comiskey had him all tied up, and away he goes untouched.
Well, we're getting a different look from the Eskimos. We heard Kevin Strasser might open up the playbook here, and this is a different look, and Kelly Campbell has the catch with Jared Zabransky throwing the football. So the Bronco package has been unveiled here at McMahon.
Well, here's what's different about this formation. One offensive lineman in front of Zabransky. No guards, no tackles. They're off to the left of your screen in front of Kelly Campbell, and they're setting up some blocking. So they allowed to move the offensive line to either side of the field as long as they're on the line of scrimmage.
19 for Campbell, the opening first down of the game, and there's Zabransky with Aaron Fiacconi over the football and nobody else really close to the ball, and that pass is batted down.
Michael Benjo one-on-one. He's the only guy lined up over Aaron Fiacconi, and he's the only offensive lineman that has a chance to do this, and he gets it. I mean, there's Fiacconi and there's Labinjo. The offensive line out to the right side this time. Labinjo one-on-one really doesn't cause any pressure, just knocks it down.
Of course, Mike Labinjo with 3 knockdowns in the 2008 Grey Cup. Second down, Erky Whitlock trying to kick it outside. Jawan Simpson there to bring him down at the 51-yard line. The middle linebackers enjoyed a fine start to the season in the middle of that Calgary defense.
So now Chris Jones, the defensive coordinator for Calgary, and you mentioned early on, Chris, how they've done such a nice job defensively this year, but that looks that he's got to now try and get his team together on the sideline. They get the punt team out there, so this is a chance for him to go, okay, let's get organized here. If they do that kind of formation, how are we going to handle it?
So a chess match between the old Alouette coordinators, Kevin Strasser for the Eskimos, and look out, Prefontaine in trouble and taken down inside the 30. It goes from a bad start to worse for the Eskimos here early in the game.
Just basically a drop snap here by Noel Prefontaine, the punter. The snap a little bit high, but he catches that every single time and has throughout his career. But you know, when you look at the drop by Ricky Ray in the very first play of the game, and then that kind of drop there, those are just concentration issues, just a little lack of focus from a team that desperately needs it early on in this game.
Jabari Arthur, Mark Caliste dropping Prefontaine at the 30. Tim St. Pierre, the long snapper, but again, you mentioned that Prefontaine fields those all the time. And this is an horrendous start for the Eskimos, who need a defensive hold in a hurry. Double tight end formation. Fake to Reynolds, and they dump it off, and there's Robbie Bryant, and he's taken down by Lawrence Gordon in a hurry.
Take a look at the Edmonton Eskimos defensive lineup. One guy right down to the wire was Kai Ellis at defensive end. He does make it to the lineup, and take a look at Chris Thompson, 5 interceptions. It is a good secondary, an improved secondary from last year for the Edmonton Eskimos. They're not giving up, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, a 300-yard passing game yet.
Strangely, number 1 against the pass, last against the run. 2nd and 6, and they're looking deep, and that overthrown. The intended target again was Rambo in a good matchup tonight against Chris Thompson.
Pressure mounts for head coach Richie Hall for the Edmonton Eskimos, who of course is the defensive coordinator as well. So I mentioned his secondary. He's got to be happy with that. And he's had to deal with some injuries back there too, moving Lawrence Gordon into halfback and off the corner for Lenny Wall. So no excuse for the football team, though, and a little surprising that they don't seem as mentally focused as they probably should be early on here.
Rob Maver hasn't missed since week 1 in an outstanding rookie season start from 33 out. Maver nails another, and it's a 10-point lead before the 6-minute mark here in Calgary. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan. Shift the way you move. Five and 1 Calgary with a 10-0 lead over 1-5 Edmonton. As Ricky Ray and the Eskimos go back onto the field for their 3rd possession, trying to get something going.
When you look at Ricky Ray's numbers this year, he's really not been the problem.
Into the hands of Whitlock, trying the right side. Narky Whitlock up over the 40-yard line, has a gain of 6, while he has taken a share of criticism, even of qualities that he used to be commended for.
The things that I did when we were winning were my strengths, and now all of a sudden, when you're losing, those become weaknesses. You know, the things I've heard, when I first came to the league was he's so calm and cool. You know, he looks so good out there under pressure, and then now it's I'm too calm, I'm too cool, I'm not fired up enough. I mean, those things that were strengths turn into weaknesses, but that's part of losing. I mean, nobody likes a loser. You know, they're going to pick apart a loser, they're going to beat a loser up, and that's just the way it goes.
Well, there he was under duress and misses Jamaica Rector with a 2nd and 3 pass, and that forces another kicking situation for the Eskimos.
And I couldn't agree more with what Ricky Ray just said. And people who criticize Ray about his demeanor, I just don't think it's right when you have praised him for his demeanor when this team has been successful. I mentioned his numbers. He's not been the problem in Edmonton. And I totally agree. You can't get outside of your personality, and that's Ricky Ray's personality. We loved it when he was leading this team to championships.
Line drive kick, Murphy on the return, and he is brought down quickly. TJ Hill with the tackle after a 38-yard punt.
So if you think it's a quality of his that under pressure he's calm, cool, and collected, whether he throws an interception or he throws a touchdown pass, you can't really tell by his face, his demeanor. If that's what you've loved about him when they were going to championship games, well, then you can't just flip-flop now and when they're struggling say, well, Ricky Ray's just not getting fired up enough. It's not right, and he's really not been the issue, as I mentioned.
Nick Lewis not in this offensive set as Calgary starts first down at their 37. And John Cornish is the ball carrier. Has 3 to the 40.
Boy, Cornish and Joffrey Reynolds really teamed up against the Saskatchewan defense that gave up 170 against the two backs a couple weeks back, and it's a combination I know that Calgary fans enjoy. The only thing it does is it takes touches away from Joffrey Reynolds, but you can see that great 7.2-yard rush average for Cornish.
Stamped to watch Corey Boyd rip it up for 164 against this Eskimo defense last week. The first defense to allow over 1,000 yards rushing. That 2nd down pass overthrown, intended for R.J. Franklin. And it's a 2-and-out this time for the Calgary offense.
John Hufnagel kept his football team this week in practice on edge. They came off a big win against the BC Lions and then had a pretty feisty practice early on in the week and decided to speak to the football team and adjust some of the behavior, and off to a good start here again.
Kelly Campbell doing the returning today. The Eskimos have been injured in that department. Tristan Jackson's been hurt. Skylar Green is injured. Weldon Brown also, and this is a good kick by Burke Dales. Campbell from his 15 trying to get outside and finds a crease. Kelly Campbell into the open field. Burke Dales taken down, and somehow Campbell tripped over his blocker and now is rolled down. Mark Caliste helping him out at the sidelines. It's a 43-yard punt to 55-yard return.
Kelly Campbell is going to take this return to his right, makes an outstanding move initially here to split two Calgary tackles right there, and then just gets unlucky at the other end. One man to beat, and he's in the end zone and trips over his own blocker. It's been that kind of year for the Edmonton Eskimos. That should have been 6 points.
It's the longest return so far this season for Edmonton on a punt. Ricky Ray under duress again, and Juwan Simpson brings him down. Third sack of the season for the Stampeder middle linebacker.
Juwan Simpson's going to end up getting the sack here. Ricky Ray just never has time. He has open receivers down the field, but he just can't get it there.
Second sack already registered by Calgary. They had 5 last week. Second and 10. Andre Talbot the catch. Or second and long. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage. And it'll be third down.
You know, it's the difference between pressure and your front seven. I want to show you that. Matthew Bertrand right here is a fullback playing tight end. That first down play. The Calgary Stampeders send pressure. They have Juwan Simpson make the tackle. Number 30. Look how wide open he is right here in the middle of your screen. I mean, no one covers him. But because there's pressure on Ricky Ray, he cannot get it out of that pocket. And a wide open receiver is left shaking his head.
Well, the special teams huddling up with Noel Thorpe. Is something on 3rd and 8 at the Calgary 50? We'll find out. Saw a big play on 3rd down by the Argos last night, but Prefontaine's kicking it away here, looking for the corner. Murphy lets it roll into the end zone, and this will be a single point as he puts a knee down. Eskimos have a point, and it's 10-1 Calgary. Let's join Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Chris. Dimitri Sumpa said he enjoyed his time with the Miami Dolphins, and although he certainly felt that he belonged, he knows that he has a lot of room to grow. The biggest surprise during the NFL camp for him was the Florida heat. He said being a Canadian kid, he couldn't wait to work in the heat, didn't think he'd get enough of it, but the reality is the heat can be very draining. The toughest hit was his appetite. Offensive linemen are known to eat. They're supposed to eat, gain weight, maintain weight. Demetrius Sumpas said that it's tough to eat when you just don't feel like it. Guys?
And he's back, 3-year deal. Edmonton native, Demetrius Sumpas. First down for Burris. And he steps up, takes off, and gets tripped up by the middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd.
Well, first of all, I never thought there was ever a situation where an offensive lineman would not want to eat, but I can understand that he spent 7 months in Miami. Again, there's lots of reasons why it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's politics. Didn't feel like he fit in there, but you know, what's good for Calgary and their fans is that he comes back with the right headspace. He comes back, signs a long-term deal, and says, I'm back in Calgary and I'm going to stay.
Reputation of one of the hardest working Stampeders. 2nd and 7, Burris on a roll, looking downfield, R.J. Franklin can't bring it in. Looked like he had a step behind the corner, Rod Williams.
Yeah, he did, and that was just a ball from Henry Burris, who throws it on the run here, and just a ball that he kind of leads him out of bounds and throws that out of bounds. Franklin does have a chance to do this, and he is wide open as this play develops on Roderick Williams here. A little stop and go, and then down the sideline. You can see he does have a step on him. But again, throwing on the run, and Henry Burris just sort of leads him out of bounds there.
So after a 2-play touchdown drive to open the game by Calgary, you get the sense that the Eskimo defense is settling in. Here's Kelly Campbell, who's had an interesting first quarter returning the football. Got something going again and just gets tripped up by Rob Cote.
Well, one guy that the Edmonton Eskimos offensively have been very happy with is the play of R.K. Whitlock at the running back position. There's his pace for 2010, which would be an Edmonton Eskimo record when you project his numbers, coming off back-to-back 100-yard games. He has 3 on the season.
And a 99-yard game as well. He has been a consistent threat on the season for the Eskimos, who are 3rd in the league in yards offensively. Number 2 in time of possession. But they also have the worst giveaway record in the league, and those turnovers have been costly. Whitlock off the right side, pushing across the 35 for 5 yards.
Now, this will be difficult to run as we talk about Whitlock's numbers. This Calgary defense ranks 2nd in the league coming in, just giving up 92 yards per game along the ground. Tom Johnson in the middle has been just a rock when it comes to run defense. They'll rotate through.
Miguel Robide in right now, and 2nd down. Ricky Ray looking deep, and there's a communication issue. Jason Barnes pulling up, and Ray thought he was going deep. And Ricky Ray's 0 for 3 out of the chute.
And that's the first play where the Edmonton offense misses Fred Stamps. And this is the result of it here, where that would have been Fred Stamps, and the communication between Ricky Ray and Stamps has obviously progressed a lot further than Ricky Ray and Jason Barnes at an inside position.
So here in the first quarter, that's the 4th 2 and out for the Edmonton Eskimo offense. They had only 2 all last week against the Argos. What a low kick by Prefontaine that doesn't go very far, and Dion Murphy is swarmed at the Calgary 46. 33-yard punt. The flags will indicate that the wind should not be that big a factor for Prefontaine, who is kicking into what looks like a slight breeze in this first quarter.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders' only loss of the season was against Toronto, and since then you can see that Henry Burris has really taken his game to a new level with touchdown passes way outweighing the interceptions, but that completion percentage just jumps off the page.
Quick hitter looking for Robbie Bryant. Got the catch in front of Jason Goss across midfield. And it should be a first down for the Stamps.
Now as we say that with Henry Burris and his completion percentage over 70% in the last 3 games, he started this game at just 50% right now. So tried a couple of deep balls that he missed. So what you do to get back in that completion percentage, you go back to the quick game. High percentage throws.
Here's the pitch to the left side for Reynolds. And Dr. Reynolds gets net at the 50, but slides off the contact. And down to the Edmonton Eskimo 47. Rod Williams stepped up from the corner.
And a big block there. I believe it was Ben Archibald that cut the legs out of Javi Glad, who was trying to fill on that play. He's going to take off to his right, this running play going to the offensive left, and as he goes across, Big Ben Archibald cuts him right down, and that eliminates one linebacker to try and make the tackle.
Reynolds needs 60 yards today to move into the top 10 all-time in CFL rushing. And that pass is dropped to Rob Cote, who caught one in the end zone last week in BC, but that will snuff another Calgary drive.
Well, I just want to take a quick look, though, because that was lots of time for Burrs to go ahead and throw the football. So let's take a look at Dimitri Sumpas and see how he's settling in. His first game back with the Calgary Stampeders. Maurice Lloyd trying to come on a blitz, and and ends up on the ground. But the ball dropped by Rob Cote.
So Burke Dales will look for the corner, an area that he has really improved on this year. Trying to angle this one and got too much of that. And this one will roll through for a single point, and the Calgary lead is back to 10 in the final minute of this opening quarter. CFL on TSN action continues Thursday night. Blue Bombers travel to Montreal to take on the Alouettes. Just Eastern games next week. The first of the bye weeks. Coverage begins here on TSN with the Samsung pregame show at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
You got to love the cattle farm and the city in the background. That's the foothills. That's Calgary. Got the ranches, you got the city, you got a beautiful stadium. His 50th birthday.
Western teams get a week off on the ranch next week, while the Eastern teams go at it.
You know, and we haven't mentioned that this is a rivalry that is often heated, maybe not as much this year because of a struggling Eskimo team, but usually fireworks when these two teams meet.
Jared Zabransky back in, the third string quarterback. Look out, and that one was nearly a quick 6 for Wes Lysak.
He can't believe that one went through his fingers because he read it perfectly, was sitting outside, and he's going to jump this. Archie Whitlock comes out of the backfield. Now he comes out, try and catch this little hit screen over there. And as he sits down, Wes Lysak, who's going to cover him from the safety spot, he's not normally a corner. Look at the jump on the ball, and it just goes right through his fingers. Goes down as a drop.
Ray back in. They hand it off to Whitlock on 2nd and 10. And he will be stopped short of the 40-yard line. Pick up a 4 on the final play of the opening quarter. Good one for the home side. First quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
Well, the Eskimos came with different offensive formations, different quarterbacks at different times, and have 1 first down to show for it.
And Calgary's first 2 plays from scrimmage were each more than the 18 yards the Eskimos have to show for that first quarter, which begs the question, is Ricky Ray not your best chance to dig yourself out of a hole? And yet we saw as much of Jared Zabransky.
There's pros and cons, and I know Matt Dunnigan back in the studio hates that Ricky Ray comes out. A quarterback needs to stay in there and get the snaps to get in his rhythm and get in that zone. But if you have plays for Zabransky that is that wildcat formation, it does make some sense, and there is an upside to it. Now, when Zabransky's been out there, he hasn't really run the football. He's done what Ricky Ray usually does, which is stay in the pocket and throw. So I would agree right now that Ray is your best chance, and it's taking snaps away from him.
Prefontaine the kick, and Dion Murphy at his 28-yard line, and he is brought down quickly. Good coverage by the Eskimos. Corbin Sharoon, the backup safety, downfield in a hurry. So the Stamps have the lead, but after the quick start, touchdown after 2 offensive plays, they've cooled down.
Well, he's tried to take Henry Burris a couple of deep shots. I mean, he's gone a couple of times now to R.J. Franklin, missed him on a couple, so his percentage has suffered because of it. But, you know, there's a lot of weapons on this offense, and it will be a matter of time before they get going again.
Fake to Cornish, and they dump it off. Nick Lewis, his first catch of the game is across the 45, and a first down. Catch number 490 in his CFL career.
The third option on this play, there's the first option to fake it to your running back. Henry Burris can run the ball, or Nick Lewis can catch that little slant route.
Nick comes into the game, 2nd in second down catches, 3rd in yak yards, having his best start to a CFL season. Into the hands of Cornish and straight ahead. Up across the 50-yard line, 5 for John Cornish.
Yeah, Nick Lewis is off to a great start. In 5 of 6 games this year, he's had 5 or more catches. I mean, he's... And don't forget the big game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 10 catches for 160. So real good start for number 82. And they were looking for that leadership when Jermaine Copeland went to Toronto.
Corner stays into the game, 2nd and 5. And it's over the middle. Robbie Bryant on the crosser. He'll be pulled down by Jason Goss. Another Stampeder first down at the Edmonton 45.
Crossing route that takes some time to develop, as Robbie Bryant's going to come from the right across the field to the left, but Henry Burris has to stay in there and wait for him to cross right through the formation. In order to do that, you need good blocking. Dimitri Sumpas up front working on Adam Braidwood. And that's the 2nd time we've zoomed in on Dimitri Sumpas, and the player in front of him has been on his back.
14 yards for Bryant. The first down for Calgary. And straight ahead, John Cornish. And he's brought down by Lawrence Gordon out of the Eskimos secondary.
You think John Huffnagel and Henry Burris are excited about getting that guy back in the lineup in Sumpas? Look at him on the right side with Edwin Harris and the great push that they get on this running play. I mean, John Cornish is not touched till he's about 5 or 6 yards into the linebacking core.
The Hoggies are happy about it too, because the Sumpas family hosts a big barbecue up in Edmonton just before the Labor Day rematch. 2nd down, Burris, and again over the middle. Dion Murphy pulls it down, gets outside, and Lawrence Gordon finally cuts up to angle him out at the 18-yard line.
This is going to be awful tough for the Edmonton Eskimos to defend. If Henry Burris is going to have this kind of time where he could sit in the pocket and wait for receivers to clear through the formation, they can go all the way across like that. When that happens, boy, it's almost impossible for a secondary to be able to cover, because you're always in a chase position when you're going across the middle like that. We saw Rambo go one way, Murphy go the opposite.
Dion Murphy over 1,000 all-purpose yards on the season. That's #1 in the CFL. 25 on that pickup. And Burris dropping back, has time. Franklin at the end zone. What a hit, but he holds on for the touchdown. Well, he ran into a stone wall, but it was just past the goal line.
Maurice Lloyd, the linebacker right here, is the guy that's going to provide the hit. He's dropping in that zone coverage, and you could just take this little clip and you could just mark it under the word courage for R.J. Franklin. He knew the hit was coming and hung on to the football.
I was going to say he might remember his first touchdown catch as a Calgary Stampeder, but then again, he might not. Extra point is good as the Stamps expand their lead. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League.
What's up, everybody? It's retro week, so I had to rock the mustache and the chops. Don't judge me. Wes made me do it. It was kind of a retro catch, I guess.
Hey, you took his best shot.
He took one in the chops.
Yeah, and it was an old school catch.
17-yard touchdown catch by R.J. Franklin. Kelly Campbell, the lone spark here on returns.
Put it off tonight, I promise. I promise.
Clearly, the Calgary Stampeders have seen a matchup they like, and here's R.J. Franklin down at the bottom of your screen. He's going one-on-one. I thought it was a zone initially. It's actually man-to-man coverage, and Roderick Williams right at the top here. He decides to bail because Kenyon Rambo, he thinks, is the #1 target. Well, that leaves R.J. Franklin wide open. He leaves his man alone, and Maurice Lloyd was just dropping under to try and help somebody, and he lowers the boom.
Eskimos have to get something going here in a hurry. Archie Whitlock unable to turn the corner. Tom Johnson company there. But the big hit was just a moment or two ago.
I say lower the boom.
It was a big hit, but it's football. I held on to it. That's what it's all about.
You got that right. You're going to get hit anyway. Old school hit. He's got the old school chops, and Maurice Lloyd underneath, but the coverage looked like Roderick Williams just dropped his man and jumped Kenyon Rambo, thinking he was the target, leaving R.J. Franklin wide open.
2 for R.Q. Whitlock, 2nd and 8. Eskimos have 4 receivers wide side. Ricky Ray looks the other way. Andre Talbot on the crosser. Brandon Isaac will pull him down near the first down stick, and Ricky Ray is down and slow to get up.
It was Devon Claybrooks who put the hit on Ricky Ray, and he's just trying to gather himself. I'm not so sure it was just a big hit like a Maurice Lloyd, but it was when he hit the ground. Devon Claybrooks tackles through him. Looked like he maybe a bit of a burner on his left side because he was grabbing his collarbone in his neck area.
Over 300 pounds of Claybrooks drilling into the carpet. Enough for a first down, and the Eskimos continue at the 48. Ray to Whitlock. And he gets close to 3. Malik Jackson brings him down. You might have missed it last week, but boy, did Ricky Ray get a jolt on the final play of the game last week against the Argonauts.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos were trying to just keep it alive, pitching it back and forth, and Ricky Ray gets creamed.
Ronald Clemens.
You know, and you've heard a lot of the Eskimos, including Ray this week, say it's not much fun when you're not winning this game. And then when you get hit like that, it's not much fun either.
But under duress early and often here tonight. 2nd and 7. Pressure again. Malik Jackson can't bring him down. And Ray will run across midfield and close to a first down.
This is a courageous effort on this drive by Ricky Ray. I mean, he is doing everything in his power to try and get this Eskimo team on his back and see if he can't get them out of this hole, because he took a big hit a few plays ago, and you could see every time since then he's come to the line trying to adjust his pads and try and gather himself, and then he fights off a tackle there. He takes a bit of a face mask at the end of this play, gets his neck twisted around, and he gets up close enough that they're going to measure this. I mean, you got to applaud the effort of the quarterback there.
And we're talking earlier about the demeanor and how that sometimes get criticized, but that's 2 plays after it looked like he had to come out on the hit by Claybrooks, and he somehow is able to get him within a yard of the first down, and likely a gamble here by Richie Hall, who needs something positive to happen.
And they need to get, for this short yardage play, Jared Zabransky in there and let Ray just gather himself on the sideline.
So 3rd and a full yard with 8:08 left, first half.
Let him not go Tom Johnson's way here. They did.
First man through is Matt Bertrand. And he should have enough, the fullback. 6'4", 240.
I guess it's pick your poison. Devon Claybrooks, no slouch in there either, but Tom Johnson leads all interior defensive linemen in tackles in the Canadian Football League. Now, he'll come out on the rotation right now.
And now Jason Moss comes in, so we've seen all 3 Eskimo quarterbacks.
But Chris, I think Ray he's shaken up on the sideline.
Yeah. And that's why. So Moss now in relief. And it's an early movement. A flag comes down, and pass in the flat is caught by the newcomer, Tremaine Kirkland.
I think Kelly Campbell's offside here. Unless he was drawn defensively, but I thought he had a little bit of jump in his motion to the line of scrimmage. But you got to believe Ray, after a couple of big hits, got to that sideline. They want to check him out. I mean, once he got over there, the training strap grabbed him immediately.
Edmonton number 71. A 5-yard penalty remains, first down.
Well, you got to love how courageous he was to hang in there. When he took that big one by Devon Claybrooks, you could tell he was rattled. and grabbing at his neck and his shoulder. He stayed in for 2 more snaps, including one that he had to scramble out of a blitz.
Well, Jason Moss came into the Winnipeg game in relief and was 1 for 9 in that game. This Eskimos start feeling a lot like that tough day in Winnipeg. Moss has an open man. Barnes has the catch down at the 29-yard line. Moss to Barnes.
And I think he was in bounds. Looked like Jason Barnes got that foot in bounds. Real nice throw by Jason Moss. Again, Barnes on the inside now. He's going to be the slot back, and he's running the corner route. Jason Moss with a half roll. That means just to the tackle. And there's 81 in the corner. And that right foot inbound.
29-yard play, and Moss goes to the sideline. Zabransky checks back in. All the quarterbacks earning their paychecks today. First down. Zabransky has time. Open man. Jason Barnes, touchdown.
First touchdown pass for Jared Zabransky the 2010 season, and it was a pretty one.
Back-to-back catches from Barnes, one from Moss, and a touchdown catch from Jared Zabransky.
You know, I guess if you're the Edmonton Eskimos coaching staff, you're saying to yourself coming into this game, why not try something new? What we've been doing so far has not been working. And if it means rotating quarterbacks, and I know Ray is banged up on the sideline, but it means rotating quarterbacks, so be it.
Extra point is good. Zabransky to Jason Barnes for a 28-yard touchdown strike. TSN 2 now brings you live Barclays Premier League action. Next up, Manchester United taking on Newcastle tomorrow. Live coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. Well, an 8-play, 73-yard drive. The last 2 plays from Jason Barnes of 28 and 27 yards. And they take almost 5 minutes off the clock. And the Eskimos try to get back in this. Joffrey Reynolds lets it slip by. Didn't touch him as it skipped out. Otherwise, an illegal kick. And it'll be a first down for the Stamps up at the 45. Referee Kim Murphy picked up the flag saying that Joffrey Reynolds touched this football. That is still under debate.
Well, because if he touched it, it's where it went out of bounds there. And if he didn't, it's on the 45 for the Stampeders. So
they have spotted the ball right now at the 14-yard line where it rolled out of bounds, but John Hufnagel has challenged. And now the officials who picked up the flag will have to wait for the command center to rule on whether or not Reynolds did touch this football or not. It does take a bounce immediately to the sidelines. It could have done that on its own or off the leg of Joffrey Reynolds.
We're talking about a big chunky yardage difference, and so this is a different angle to see if Joffrey Reynolds touched it, and I'm not sure he did. It looked like it slipped underneath his hands. It was very close. Now the ruling, initially there was a flag, then they picked the flag up, and then they said that the ruling was Joffrey Reynolds touched it. So in order to overturn that ruling, they're going to have to see enough evidence that he didn't touch it to overturn the call.
And we found over the time of video replay that did he touch or did he not touch is sometimes a hard one for them to call on video, but that last end zone look certainly gave you the impression it skipped by Joffrey Reynolds untouched. But the ball is inside the 14, otherwise it's a 31-yard difference on this call depending on what the command center comes up with.
Yeah, and I just, it looked like it bounced underneath his hand and was by his hand when it came up at that level. Now the other thought is, did it touch his leg as it went by? You lose it for a second, but here's the shot. Did it touch his foot at the bottom of that?
That angle gives you the impression it might have. This angle looks like it gets by him, or does it hit his foot? That's hard to determine. And
After review, Calgary's challenge has been upheld. The ball was not touched. It is illegal kickoff. Edmonton number 7. It'll be first down on the 45-yard line.
so the replay was conclusive for the command center.
And you know what? So was their initial call, because the initial call by the officials was the flag, and it was an illegal kick. And then another official thought that it touched, so they conferenced and said no. Then the challenge from Hufnagel, which overturns the call, and John Hufnagel's challenge a good one, because you mentioned the 31 yards. That's a lot of real estate, an important challenge, as he takes a big sigh of relief there.
Especially coming right after an Eskimo touchdown. And I'm glad they put it on the 45, because we saw a game last night, an illegal kickoff, and the ball got put on the 40, which confused the heck out of me.
It's an error.
Burris Dorn, and let's see pass interference. Yes. Flag flies a little late from deep in the Eskimo secondary after the intended target, Ryan Thelwell, was taken down.
That was Rod Davis, the linebacker, who was trying to, what we call on defense, eliminate the crosser.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Edmonton. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Crosser is coming this side from Ryan Thelwell. And the ball is in the air. You just cannot step up and eliminate a crosser like this. They don't get more obvious than that.
Well, it eliminates the crosser. But it draws a flag without any argument. At midfield. First down. And Joffrey Reynolds off the right side, taken down quickly. And there's Rod Davis, who drew the flag, but makes a nice defensive play there.
Let's go back to this touchdown here by Jason Barnes, the outside receiver. Now he's going to go one-on-one on Brandon Browner, but Browner is out of his comfort zone, because Browner usually jams right up on the line of scrimmage, a yard off. He's comfortable there. He's got some space between him there, and not as comfortable, clearly, because he misses the jam. And you don't see that very often from Brandon Browner. That was why Barnes was in the end zone. And right now, Kenyon Rambo was so pumped about this play. He was 40 yards down the field before the ball was snapped.
That must have been 85's play.
Offside. Calgary number 85. A 5-yard penalty remains. Second down.
There's offside, and then there's this play. And this was offside at a whole new level.
That might draw a reaction to the film room next week.
Yeah.
So it's 2nd and 12. One back, 5 receivers for Calgary. Reynolds stays in the block. Burris throws, and guess who's got it for a first down?
Backside one-on-one, and they're going to put Kenyon Rambo, and this is something that Henry Burris and Kenyon Rambo have made an absolute living on in their careers together, is that they're going to put all the other receivers on one side of the field and then just say to Jason Goss, we like the matchup with Kenyon Rambo on any corner in the league to put him out there. And then it's a one-on-one, and he runs the out. Timing, good catch by Rambo.
15 yards and a first down for Rambo, as the Stamps have the football at the Eskimo 43. Reynolds, nice little move to slice across the 40, down to the 36. Brought down by Adam Braidwood.
Joffrey Reynolds really had to make a move when he first got the football. A little bit of penetration from the Edmonton D line. Like it was D. Sterling who did get in there, and Joffrey Reynolds had to make him miss before he could get to that edge.
Joffrey Reynolds within 19 of the Hall of Famer, Tracy Ham, who currently sits number 10 on the all-time CFL rushing list. Reynolds off the right side, more yards, another first down. Dropped to the Eskimo 35.
Jason Goss was the corner on the short side coming up in containment on this play. And as Reynolds hits it outside, he's going to cut right inside of Jason Goss and make him miss with good, strong left hand right there. He just kind of throws him aside. That's how he gets to pick up. Pretty good gain.
So the Stamps are marching, trying to answer the touchdown by the Eskimos. A first down at the Edmonton 31. Fake to Reynolds, an open man. It's McLewis. Brought down inside the 20-yard line. Another Calgary first down as they give the 3-minute warning here. First half at McMahon. Under 3 minutes remaining, first half here. Then we'll check in live at the half and find out what the boys have to say. See what Matt Dunnigan says about this Eskimo Bronco package we've seen from Jared Zabransky. And a pretty decisive Calgary first half. Certainly if they can add more points on what has been a good-looking drive so far. Burris has Stowell, and that's another first down taken out at the Eskimos 7-yard line.
Eskimos at this part of the field now are going to try and send the blitz on Henry Burris, send Maurice Lloyd, and they're going to just get Ryan Thelwell out of the backfield. Little turnout, tough to cover from there when you're trying to take away the inside. And the blitz from Maurice Lloyd right down the middle. Picked up nicely by the center, Tim O'Neill.
6 different receivers have caught passes for Calgary. On the year, 12 different receivers, 8 different touchdown receivers for the Stampeders.
You know, down here, receivers love it down in this area.
Timer, reset the clock to read 2:25, 2:25.
Fix the clock here, but the receivers love it because, number one, they're getting close to the goal line so they can score a touchdown. Receivers love to score touchdowns. But they also know they're going to get one-on-ones usually, because down here it's all pressure and you've got to get up and in the face of the receiver defensively. So you get the one-on-ones, and any good receiver worth his weight will tell you they want to get in a one-on-one, and that's the guy that often Henry Burris will go to in that situation. Rambo, go ahead.
Reset the clock, excuse me, Glenn. Kenyon Rambo had a chance to confer at the bench. See what message he got, whether it impacts the play. The 8th play of the Calgary drive, first and goal. And a little dump pass there from Burris to Joffrey Reynolds, broken up by Kai Ellis after a pickup of 2.
Knocking on the door. By the way, I just got a text message from Tom Higgins. The 40-yard line you mentioned on that kickoff, there was a penalty, a 5-yard penalty, and that's why. It was part of the process. So it wasn't an error, and I apologize to the officials for that.
Oh, it had me scrambling for the rule book last night. Second and goal from the 4. And over the middle, Thelwell, did he get in? Pushed out. And he didn't cross the line, although he'd like to talk about it. It was close. And it looks like it'll be 3rd and 1.
Well, Chris Thompson made the tackle. He was in coverage on Ryan Thelwell. And it's the ball that has to cross the plane, not the player. So if Thelwell was on the line, that's one thing. But if that ball never did cross the plane, that's another. So it's the football that has to cross the plane. His right foot is, but I'm not sure the ball ever did.
And so Chris Thompson saves a touchdown and forces 3rd down.
Timeout, Calgary.
Stamps burning some time on the clock. So the Eskimos won't have as much left. Then they call the timeout, and now Dave Dickinson will confer on 3rd and a yard.
Well, if the Edmonton Eskimos defensively or even as a team are going to turn their season around, right now, right here would be a good place to start for them. Third down on the goal line.
And Drew Tate into the game on short yardage. 3rd and 1. Tate tries the left side, and he's in. In behind the former Eskimo, the left guard, Dan Comiskey.
And not much fight from that Edmonton defense down there, because it looked like Drew Tate pretty casually took that football to the left side and kind of picked his way right in the end zone. I'm not sure he even got tackled. He just got kind of pushed over about 3-4 yards deep in the end zone. So not much pushback from the Edmonton defensive line there.
Drew Tate threw his first touchdown pass last week in BC. They kept the ball for him, and he said, no, don't want it. And he didn't want that one as he pumped it into the crowd. Extra point from Neighbor, and it's 25-8 here with 96 seconds remaining in the opening half.
You know, I was talking about a chance there, an opportunity for the Eskimos defensively to try and fight their way out of this hole this season and just get so aggressive down there, lay it on the line, and see if they can't get the stop. And you could see where the line of scrimmage started, 1 yard line, ended 5 yards deep in the end zone, where that left side of the offensive line for the Calgary Stampeders just drove them back.
So after winning the challenge, which put the ball on the 45 instead of the 14, John Huffnagel's team drives 10 plays, 65 yards, and a touchdown to give them a 17-point lead. Let's check in with Jermaine Franklin and an update on Ricky Ray.
Thanks, Chris. Ricky Ray came off the field in obvious discomfort. He tried to throw the ball right away, knew something was wrong, which is why Jason Moss quickly took his place. The official word from the team is it's a chest collarbone area injury, and he will continue to be evaluated at the half. But Ricky Ray has not made an attempt to even throw a ball since. His helmet is nowhere in sight, so it doesn't look very good. Guys?
Thank you, Jermaine. Here's Kelly Campbell on the return, and he's taken down and out at the 32-yard line. So the Eskimos have a little time here to try and cut into the lead and keep whatever momentum they established with their last offensive series.
Yeah, but you wonder how much of that was taken away in the wind out of that sail with the long drive from Calgary. But
it is Zabransky, the Fiesta Bowl hero from Boise State. Another funky alignment, and Zabransky takes off, and he'll run it.
Well, there's the Wildcat, and that's why if you're gonna, and I know Matt Dunnigan's gonna talk about this formation at halftime, but again, if you're gonna do this, then why not run it? Because you're taking so many defenders away from the quarterback by lining up most of your offensive line, 10, 15 yards away from them. Then you do it for that Wildcat type play.
And a 15 yards and a first down. Lysak off the edge with pressure, and that ball batted down. Looked like Tom Johnson, the defensive tackle, knocked down the pass with heat coming off the edge.
Yeah, that edge heat was Lysak that you mentioned, and when he was coming, young quarterbacks, when they see pressure, they often will look at the pressure. They'll look at the rush coming. You see 31 in the middle of your screen. Watch Zabransky take this football, not look down at his receivers and who may be hot. He sees pressure, and he looked right now at that pressure coming. That takes his eyes off where he needs to go with the ball, and he has to just throw it away.
So it's 2nd and 10. Zabransky rolling. Mike Labinjo in pursuit, and Zabransky throws it low and then gets taken out at the Calgary bench. A flag flies, and we'll see if that extends the drive. Devon Claybrooks went careening into the Calgary bench area.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Calgary, number 95, 15 yards to the end of play, first down.
It is Claybrooks, and it will be an Eskimo first down.
Well, this one is very close, and I don't think anyone will argue that it's a good thing to try and protect the quarterbacks. Balls thrown 1, 2, second. Now we've slowed it down a little bit, and he gets the push. He's still in bounds. But the question you have to ask is, could Devon Claybrooks have avoided that contact after the ball was thrown? I think he could have. So that's why the flag is out.
So it will extend the Eskimo drive. Still over a minute to go. And now the ball at the Calgary 47. Play action. Kelly Campbell makes the first man miss. And then gets swarmed at the 43. So a short gain for Campbell again. The Stampeders, or the Eskimos, without their Stamps attack. Fred Stamp's not in the lineup. Calvin Armstrong and Wes Lysak got involved there after the whistle. And we've got an injured Stampeder. Robert McCune shaken up. Defensive end. Starter today, Charleston Hughes out of the Calgary lineup with a hamstring problem. And now McCune up and on his way to the Calgary sidelines.
I think when you look at Robert McCune, you could tell that he's been to a weight room or two in his time.
He not only been in, he doesn't usually leave. In fact, he is a trainer, has his own gym, and one of the guys who worked out at that gym, Malik Jackson, a former college teammate of McCune's. So second down and 6. Here comes pressure, and that one knocked into the air and falls incomplete. And Mike Labinjo has been more of a force today, and that's his second knockdown.
Mike Labinjo in the Grey Cup here a couple years back for the Calgary Stampeders did a lot of this. I mean, he had back to the playoff game here in Calgary, and he had a couple of these. I believe he had a couple in the Grey Cup itself where he had some knockdowns. He's got a knack for the timing of that. But right now, the Calgary defense using their safety, Wes Lysak, on numerous occasions up in the line of scrimmage to blitz. And
3rd and 6, Richie Hall keeps the offense on the field. With the ball at the Calgary 43, they're going for it, 3rd and 6. Here comes pressure from Wes Lysak. Zabransky downfield, jump ball. Barnes brings it down, and they convert on 3rd down and keep it alive.
Well, you got to admire the throw, and Jared Zabransky on the run, putting the touch on this ball that he does, because Barnes was in the middle of a couple of Calgary defenders. He's got pressure on him. He has to throw it up and over that front row. He could throw on the run.
75 yards for Barnes on 3 catches. Moving into Fred Stamp's spot, 1st down, and look out! Dwight Anderson, foot raise. Can Zabransky catch him? Dwight Anderson down the sidelines, and it's a Calgary touchdown. Just when it looked like young Zabransky was going to get Edmonton a little closer, Dwight Anderson takes it back for 6 more Calgary points.
Dwight Anderson coming off an interception game against the BC Lions. Plays it well, sits on it, and then jumps it. And the foot race is on. And if, Chris, you could do the honors, you know where we are.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Thank you.
87-yard touchdown for Dwight Anderson. 3rd interception of the year, 2nd in as many games. I thought he was taking it back last week, but he did get angled off late in the return, but Zabransky wasn't going to catch him here.
Oh, you're going to have a nice look at it here as Kirkland doesn't take a step back to the ball. In fact, he fades away. He could possibly step in and break that up and maybe become defensive back, but Dwight Anderson sat on that route. He read Jared Zabransky. Zabransky stared down his receiver in Kirkland, and there he is.
Second career interception, touchdown return. Had one last year against Toronto. So Zabransky's thrown a touchdown pass, his first in the CFL in this first half, and then he throws one that goes back the other way. And now it's 32-8.
Well, Jared Zabransky won't be the first young quarterback to throw an interception like that. He won't be the last. We've seen a bunch, and that's just inexperience. And he really could have got a little help from his receiver. And when you look outside there and saw Kirkland sort of fade away from that short hitch route, he's got to become more aggressive and help his quarterback take hard step back to it. Maybe he breaks it up or even makes a tackle. And it looks like maybe Richie Hall in the second half goes with Jason Moss. Be interesting to see who comes out.
Here's Jamaica Rector on the return. And Eric Fraser, the backup safety, pulls him down, and Jason Moss goes in at quarterback.
Jared Zabransky knows he's the only guy, and this is a tough, a very, very difficult feeling for a quarterback who's thrown the pick. Now, the one guy that understands a rough start is R.Q. Whitlock, who is right over there, and he's tapping him on the shoulder saying, you know what, it happens. And you know, he's shown some things tonight. I like the way he ran the ball in a couple. That was a real good throw on that third down gamble.
Jason Moss back in, hands it off. R.Q. Whitlock, Tom Johnson, and here's Eric Fraser again, the Burnaby product, bringing Whitlock to the turf. And time for one more play. And it looks like Ricky Ray's done for the night.
It's interesting that Jason Moss would come right out here, you know, and every young quarterback makes mistakes. You want to get a guy who makes a mistake back on the field, take another snap. But
looks like the Eskimos were going to close the gap. Instead, it got a little wider in the final minute. A 24-point Calgary lead through 30 minutes at McMahon. Well, a one-sided first half in the Battle of Alberta 2010, with Calgary in the lead and Jermaine Franklin with Edmonton coach Richie Hall.
Coach Hall, how would you assess your team in the first half, and what do you need to see out of them in the second half?
Not good enough. You know, we got to have some fire. We got to have some fight in us. We got to have some execution. Bottom line is we got to take one play at a time. Don't look at the scoreboard. Take one play at a time, and we'll see what happens at the end of 30 minutes.
Is there an update on Ricky Ray and who starts at quarterback for your team in the second half?
Well, Jason Moss is in there right now. Ricky's still nicked up.
Thank you very much, Coach.
So it will be Moss, but there was a notable lack of fire, Glenn. I can't remember being at McMahon watching Edmonton and Calgary and feeling less of the emotion that is usually characteristic for these games.
No, you nailed it. And you see things like dropped snaps from Ricky Ray in the very first play of the game. No Prefontaine that Milt Stegall talked about at halftime, and some of the mistakes, sloppy mistakes they made. Really very little pushback down on the goal line when they allowed Drew Tate to basically walk in. You're right. This is a rivalry that we've seen just sparks fly when these two teams meet. It's just surprising. Edmonton has been flat.
Prefontaine sends it downfield. And it's Joffrey Reynolds on the return, and he is hit at the 35-yard line. So Henry Burris comes back to work with a convincing lead, and Stampeders trying to become the first team to win 6 this season in the CFL.
And a 6th win would match their best start in this decade. That was back in 2000.
Team that's undefeated at home in the last year, 8-0-1 in their last 9 at home coming into this game. There's R.J. Franklin, but a touchdown catch in the first half, and he's got a catch here at the 39-yard line. Brought down by Jason Goss after 4.
He was able to shake off that hit from Maurice Lloyd, and I thought the comment from Milt Siegel at halftime was bang on about Maurice Lloyd taunting, standing over R.J. Franklin when his team was in such a bad deficit.
2nd and 6. And over the middle, there's a big hit. That one by Rod Davis on R.J. Franklin. R.J. holds on again, but he might have a headache tomorrow.
They're going to put Maurice Lloyd up in the line, and there's Davis right there. Rod Davis is eliminating the crosser, but this time he waits long enough. Remember the Thelwell hit? Well, that one, it was a hit that came about a step too early. Nothing wrong with that one. And R.J. Franklin is taking a couple of biggies.
That's the kind of intensity Richie Hall wants to see. 2 and out to start. Kelly Campbell fields this back at his 15. Gets by the arrow, Brandon Browder, and Kelly Campbell's got a return into the open field, and this time he gets by Burke Dales. Foot race, and Kelly Campbell gone. 95-yard punt return touchdown for Kelly Campbell.
And the return game is back in the CFL in 2010.
That's the 11th touchdown return of the year. Just the second by a Western return man.
All 3 Calgary Stampeders got in the same cover lane. That opened up the seam, but tremendous speed as Kelly Campbell outruns the angle of the safety Wes Lysak, who is also the safety on that kick.
Had the longest punt return for the Eskimos in the first half, and takes this 95 yards for a touchdown. And got an injured Stampeder on the sidelines, and that's why they've halted play here. On the far side, somebody came up on the limp trying to track down Kelly Campbell. And it's veteran Mark Caliste in his 120th game as a Stampeder special team leader.
Well, maybe Richie Hall did get to this football team at halftime. You heard him talk about it wasn't good enough. He wanted to see a little fight. Well, he's seen a little fight. Rod Davis steps into R.J. Franklin, cause a punt, and then Kelly Campbell takes that punt to the house.
Makes that Dwight Anderson interception return in the final minute of the first half look a little bit bigger here. The Eskimos a convert away from getting within 17 early in the third quarter, a quarter that's been their best this year.
Well, that's what you do when you're in a big hole in a game. You don't look at the scoreboard anymore. You play one play at a time, and you just see what will happen. So far, the Edmonton Eskimos doing that. A big play on defense, and then a huge return for Kelly Campbell. 11 in the CFL this year. Good to see the return game back.
Saw Ryan Christian last night. The kick return touchdown. Most of it's been done in the East this year. Giannis Davis and Kelly Campbell, the only Western Division players with kick return touchdowns. But 4 more this season than all of 2009. Caliste has made it to the Calgary sidelines, and now Prefontaine for the point after. So it's a 17-point Calgary lead. Find out how you can create your own plays at NissanArmchairHero.com.
The Calgary cover men, they're all in the same lane. Where they should be is 1, 2, 3 in that fanning out to try and cover as much field as they can. The Calgary Stampeders line up one after another. The rule of thumb being that if you see your own color in front of you, you've got to change your lane. Now, Kelly Campbell made him pay for that and then showed great speed. You think of, you have to go back to 2005, the last year that in the CFL there were double figures in kick return touchdowns. We're already at 11 and we're not even at Labor Day.
Kelly Campbell with 262 kick return yards tonight. And we're early here in the second half. Here's a guy who's been lighting it up most of the year, Dion Murphy. Solid kick returns, but he's brought down quickly there by Matt Bertrand, usually a leader for the Eskimos on special teams.
You know, earlier in this decade, when you talk about returns, in 2000 there were 14. You know, 2002, 3, and 4 double figures, 11, 20, and 22 returns for touchdowns. And then we went through this spell from 06 all the way through to last year that we just didn't see as many. But they're back, and a bunch of young, exciting newcomers, including Dion Murphy.
Dion Murphy, who was a man short in the Calgary huddle. Last time the Eskimos scored a touchdown, Henry Burris drove his team 65 yards for a major score. They get back to work trying to answer that with John Cornish back in the backfield and Rod Davis the tackle.
Rod Davis, number 40, came up to make the stop. Gain of 4.
So the Stamps continue to shuttle in Cornish and Joffrey Reynolds for separate series of offense. Second and 6. Cornish had set up a receiver, moved back into the backfield, and that pass for Robbie Bryant too high. 2 and out for the Stamps, and the Eskimos are going to get the ball back here quickly.
And they continue to chip away. Again, a good defensive stand on the 2 and out. And a pretty easy first half for John Huffnagel's Stampeders, and maybe they have to get back in tune here and get that edge back. Kelly Campbell has caught his breath and is back to return this one once more.
We've had a sense just about each return that Campbell's been close to making something happen. Probably should have 2 on the night already. And he feels this at the 27. Trying to get outside again, but Eric Fraser not letting him do it that time. Good downfield cover by the young backup safety. Wendy's Kick for $1 Million is back. Your chance to be one of 4 to go head-to-head to qualify for the live halftime show. Enter at tsn.ca/Wendy's and upsize your Wendy's combo and get a game card to get bonus entries.
$1 million, 1 kick. 1 kick for $1 million.
And we've seen it happen.
We've seen it happen.
Brian Deesberg. They're going to see a comeback tonight. Jason Moss trying to kickstart it. There's Mike Labinjo. Just enveloping Archie Whitlock and bringing him down at the line of scrimmage. This has been Labinjo's best game of the year, I think.
Yes, it really has. He's got a couple of knockdowns, and Labinjo is going to read the action of the offensive line who are moving to their left, just sliding to their left. He reads that movement, steps right off it, and steps right into Archie Whitlock.
So no gain, 2nd and 10. Jason Moss has not thrown an Eskimo touchdown pass since 2005. Looking downfield here, and is it caught? Jamaica Rector, and they're blowing the play dead. Was a flag on the play, would have been pass interference. Rector says he hasn't been touched. He's going to get in the end zone anyway, but they're marking it at the 43 of Calgary.
Now, did Rector put his hands on Dwight Anderson or the opposite to get around him?
And if Rector did catch it, he should be able to get up and run it in. But what's the call? The Eskimos walking back. It looks like it's going to be against Jamaica Rector.
Looked like he grabbed Dwight Anderson's jersey.
Pass interference. Edmonton number 85. A 10-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
You know, this one, as he's going down, Jamaica Rector tries to get better body position. He grabs the back of his jersey, and then right there in the front, and he's going to grab around the shoulder pad and the jersey of Dwight Anderson, pull him and throw him outside, out of bounds, and then come back to the football. It wasn't down by contact there, but that's offensive pass interference.
That's why the play was stopped in its tracks, and now it's 2nd and 20. Just outside the Eskimo 15-yard line. Campbell in motion. Moss has some time now. Underneath it goes to the fullback, Bertrand. And Matthew Bertrand up to the 29-yard line. He'll be short of the first down. 13 for the fullback. And a kicking situation for Edmonton.
Well, for Jamaica Rector, well, that's a big play, and really the life that can bring back. He really didn't have to grab Dwight Anderson on the play. I mean, he can try and cut back and get body position. I think that's what Jason Moss is talking to Jason Barnes about. You don't have to grab the jersey, just try and cut in front of him.
Prefontaine lining that one, and it will bounce out. There won't be a return, and it'll be marked at the Calgary 44. Just past the 5-minute mark, third quarter. Well, as we mentioned, it's the 50th anniversary of McMahon Stadium here in Calgary, and they had a special ceremony at halftime to honor George and Frank McMahon, who put up most of the money. Stadium built for $1 million, put up in 103 days. And the sons of George and Frank McMahon, John and Bill, part of the ceremony at halftime with more. Here's Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, CC. That's right. George and Frank put up quite a bit of money, over $300,000 of the $1 million purse that it cost to build the stadium. A lot of great events has been hosted in McMahon Stadium, including 4 Grey Cups, including the 2009 Grey Cup, as well as the opening and closing ceremonies of the '88 Olympics. And just an idea of how things were done back in the day, the original idea and sketch of McMahon Stadium was drawn on the back of a cigarette pack.
You know, they knew what they were doing, though. This is a great football stadium.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the fans are close to the players because there's no track you see on some stadiums. And think about the 600. There's 600 events here annually, and those Grey Cup championships. 4 Grey Cups played here: 75, 93, 2000, and then maybe one of the most historic last year when you consider how that game ended, with Montreal getting a second chance to kick a field goal after a too many men penalty by the Riders. So really a game that we know will be talked about, and I know Rider fans don't want to hear about it again, but you know, it'll be talked about it forever and ever. It just adds to the Grey Cup folklore.
John Hufnagel's team unbeaten here in their last 9 games, and back between 92 and 95, the Doug Flutie era with Wally Bono and Alan Pitts and Kelvin Anderson and company. They went 27 consecutive games at home without a loss. First game ever was August 15th, 1960. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers came in and spoiled the party with a convincing 38-23 victory. Stamps looking like a team that's not going to lose on their 50th anniversary game. Drew Tate surging ahead on 2nd and short. And the first Grey Cup game ever played here was back in 1975.
Don Sweet, 9-8.
And
Edmonton Eskimo win, yeah.
the short chip shot. Jimmy Jones had a little trouble getting it down, and heartbreak for the Alouettes on a very frigid day that Ray York celebrated. Tom Wilkinson and company. The streaker for that game who stole some headlines too.
And there was a monumental event in 1981. Monumental. Huge event.
I can't wait for this. Wait till after this play. Henry Burris into the flat, and R.J. Franklin's got another catch. Jolted out. Monumental. So,
Monumental.
can I guess it had something to do with the Saskatchewan Roughrider?
No, in 1981, they officially approved the sale of beer.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had a milestone interception. That's an important
step. It's important step in any stadium. Please drink responsibly if you're listening, fans.
First down, Stamps. Edmonton 42. And here's Joffrey. And he gets stuck in the hole and pushed back. Rod Davis there again. 4 Grey Cups have been played here. You saw highlights of 75. Eskimos winning with Ron Lancaster, 93. That was after the upset the week before in the snow, or the Ice Bowl. The 2-point convert that was controversial in 2000.
Some great playoff games too. You think Flutie lost his shoe and ran in, and the Darren Flutie catch.
Some Western Finals. Ray Alexander blocking a field goal here. Burris slowed up and brought down. Petway, and the flag flies.
It's a horse collar tackle. And it's a horse collar tackle with extra.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Edmonton number 99, horse collar tackle. 15 yards from the original line of scrimmage. First down.
That's Ken Petway at defensive end.
Well, and Ken Petway didn't even, he may not understand the rule the way he threw Henry Burris down. He's got him by the collar there, and he hangs on to it. Then he doesn't let him go. Then he throws him pretty violently to the ground. So probably could have got a couple there.
Petway, a former teammate of Nick Lewis at Southern Arkansas. Lewis was in his wedding party. They've been exchanging some barbs this week. And Joffrey Reynolds back to work, and he's down at the 21-yard line, close to 4 more for number 21.
Joffrey Reynolds getting closer and closer to Tracy Ham in the overall rushing title. The Hall of Famer Tracy Ham. Congratulations again to him.
Needs 8 more to pass Tracy Ham. He'll be in the top 10 all-time, and he is now closing in about 250 shy of Kelvin Anderson to be the #1 rusher in the history of the Calgary Stampeders. 2nd and 6. Burris a pump, and now dumps it off over the middle. It is Reynolds down to the 5. Another Stamp first down.
Well, Joffrey Reynolds is not just a great, tremendous running back, but he's a smart football player. What he's going to do here is he's going to check blitz. If he doesn't see blitz, then he releases. And when he doesn't see anyone to pick up in the blocking schemes, he sees that everything's okay there. He releases and gives his quarterback a target in the soft spot and picks up a nice game.
So the Stampeders responding to the Eskimo touchdown. Now on their 8th play, 1st and goal from the 5. Burris looks one way and now over the middle, and it is incomplete. Nick Lewis thought he had it long enough, or does he want a flag?
He does want one, and we had the talk in the pregame show, and we talked about with Milt Stiegel what they want to do and see and what receivers would like to see from pass interference. The jam looks legal. Now, was there any grab? Looked like a pretty good football play there by T.J. Hill.
Yeah, the linebacker T.J. Hill stuck with Lewis. Makes it 2nd and goal from the 5. Well, Rambo in the backfield, staying in the block. And it's into the end zone for Thelwell and knocked down. Ron Williams with the defensive play.
Nick Lewis and Ryan Thelwell were both running straight down the seam, and Henry Burris had to make a choice between Thelwell here or Nick Lewis here. Bring in Kenyon Rambo to help in the protection on the backside, and there's 2 seam routes, and you can see, watch, Lewis just rolls off it. He's there open. Thelwell a little more covered than he is.
So Maver comes on to attempt his second of the night. This one from the 12. And Rob Maver, I think he missed it. And it's a single point. So the kid misses just his second of the season. And it's a miss from 12. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Well, a 61-yard drive, and Rob Maver.
That's amazing that he missed that one. I mean, usually if you get real close, like if a team attempts around a 4, 5, 6-yard field goal, basically a 7-yard field goal, let's say, the angle gets a little tough. But he was at 12. He had a good look at it.
So it gives the Eskimos a little bit of a reprieve. Andre Talbot did a nice job of bringing that one in. Brandon Isaac quickly with the tackle. But you don't usually see a kicker, certainly not a guy with over 93% coming in, missed from 12.
You usually have to get a little closer, makes the angle a little difficult, but he just hits that one straight and just flat out misses it. You can tell the reaction. Like, we talked about how accurate he's been. That first game of the year was his only miss coming in, and that was a 48-yard miss. This was 12.
And so the lead is 18. See if Jason Moss can cut into it. Second down, and he's going to try and air it out for Kelly Campbell. And a pretty good battle there. Campbell trying to sell a flag, but none forthcoming. As Brandon Smith stuck with Campbell all the way.
Yeah, and I like this coverage too, and the no flag here, because Brandon Smith had turned back and was running really stride for Kelly Campbell. He was right in his hip pocket. Look back to the football. So now he's right in perfect position. See how he looks back and he's just trying to hold his position. Kelly Campbell tries to cut through him, but an offensive receiver can't go through a defender to get to the ball either. He's got to go around him or under him.
Campbell's done all his damage tonight on returns. Not much in the offensive scheme for the Eskimos. Prefontaine. And this one fielded by R.J. Franklin. Dropped at the Calgary 30-yard line. Well, our sack tally is brought to you by Purelator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check. And 2 for the Stamps in this game. Edmonton without a sack so far.
How about the Toronto Argonauts? They're not going to catch up in the sack tally department, but pretty impressive win versus the Montreal Alouettes last night. Congratulations to the Argonauts, tied for first in the East. Not many of the experts were predicting that start for Toronto.
No, none of the experts.
Yeah.
And Riveras. And that's out of the reach of Romby Bryant. And there's a little lull in the Calgary Stampeders right now. It has been in this third quarter.
You know, at the end of the half there, all smiles, right? Calgary really dominates the first half, and they're all smiles. And I watched coming out at halftime. I watched Nick Lewis actually walk along the stadium, just high-fiving all the fans that are right at the close there to the grass and to the field. So they're, you know, I think they've just lost their focus a little bit here.
Henry Burris is 4 for 9, 47 yards here in the third quarter. Has a lot of time, dumps it off. Joffrey Reynolds makes a couple miss and is brought down at the 38. He'll be a couple short of the first down.
Now, you do have to give Edmonton some credit defensively. We've seen Ron Davis come up and make a couple nice hits. The coverage is a little tighter, and Henry Burris is having to work now to try and move the football.
Just under 3 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. Burke Dales checks in.
And if not for an offensive pass interference by Jamaica Rector, deficit is even less.
Campbell at his 26. Changes direction and he got a hold of his shirt and didn't let him get too far downfield. That's Juwan Simpson, the middle linebacker, who's a little slow to get up. Well, it is Calgary Retro Night here at McMahon. And in 1971, one of the more talked about Grey Cups, Jim Duncan's Stampeders able to hold on. Herm Harrison with a touchdown catch. But the play everybody remembers,
Yep.
Leon McQuay with the fumble late. And so Wayne Harris, Jerry Keeling, and the Stampeders were Grey Cup champions.
This is not good news for the Calgary Stampeders and their fans because Juwan Simpson is off to a tremendous start to this year. 24 tackles coming in, a couple of sacks, has become a leader in the defense. And this, you know, so many times it's the special teams. Bodies flying all over the place on those teams, and he looked like he almost took one from his own teammate, Eric Fraser.
So the rookie, Carl McCartney, who's been great on special teams, checks in at middle linebacker. And Archie Whitlock will test that middle linebacker. A little stutter stepping across the 35. Short gain for Whitlock. Carl McCartney out of St. Mary's. And from Nassau in the Bahamas, where before he was a football player, he was a competitive swimmer.
8 special teams tackles coming in. He also has had a sack on the year. Limited action on defense.
2nd and 8. Jason Moss at the helm. And Kelly Campbell to catch a first down. And Campbell up to close to the Edmonton 50-yard line, working again against Brandon Smith.
Brandon Smith, number 28 over there to make the tackle.
Timing out here from Kelly Campbell.
Gain of 15 for Campbell.
See the Edmonton Eskimos are leaving their backs in to help with the protection, and Brandon Smith, I should say, way off him and giving him lots of room with that speed.
So 14 for Campbell, who was 5th in the league in receiving coming in. Play action fake, and it's Bertrand, and he gets swamped there. Brandon Isaac, another rookie in that Calgary defense, who's made an impact in his role. Jason Moss is in because Ricky Ray was knocked out of this game in the first half.
Yeah, he took a pounding in that first half. This was the biggest. Devon Claybrooks hard to the ground. You can see Ray's in pain. He goes to his Caldwell. Now, he played 2 more snaps after that. One was a run where he took off on a scramble. But when he went to the bench in short yardage, he never returned.
Looking on as Jason Moss calls the signal, 2nd and 10, 6 receiver package. And he's had Campbell delivered it high off his fingertips, incomplete on the final play of the 3rd quarter with the Stamps up by 18. 3rd quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
Calgary Stampeders came into the game leading the CFL in time of possession. They're leading here again tonight. The 10 points off turnovers. Without those, it's a much closer game, obviously, but they did take advantage when Edmonton looked a little sloppy in the first half.
But the Eskimos' big play came on special teams. Haven't really been able to generate a whole lot of offense here without Ricky Ray.
No, and Matt Dunnigan talked about the rotation of quarterbacks and how that maybe take you out of your rhythm. But Ray's knocked out, and it looked like Jason Moss jammed his thumb on that last throw. He was over trying to see if he can grip the football. So may see Jared Zabransky back.
Have not seen Zabransky since he threw the interception touchdown return by Dwight Anderson. That's how Moss jammed his finger, and they fake on 3rd down, and stretching out, does he have the first? That's Matt Bertrand, who didn't look like he got to the chain. Tried to shimmy a little bit when he was on the ground to reach further. We may get a challenge of the spot, but where they place the ball, he will be short. He had to get to the Calgary 50, and they mark it outside the 50.
And on third down, you can challenge the mark of the football in the middle of the field. You can challenge it on any down at the goal line, but in the middle of the field, you can challenge it on third down. And Bertrand's coming this side. Now, was he also down by contact, or did he stumble on his own? Well, contact made there, so he tripped.
Looked like the spot's pretty good, too.
And it's where that knee touches, which is right there. So,
yeah, he had to get right to the 50-yard stripe, and clearly didn't.
You know, I think he got a generous spot, too, and still didn't quite make it.
So a third down gamble doesn't work. I don't think you can blame Richie Hall for the try at this point. Down by 18.
Well, it was there. I mean, it was one hand and the trip of Matthew Bertrand, or else he's not only got the first down, but probably 20-30 yards.
So the Stamps take over at their own 50-yard line. John Cornish in the game. John Cornish springs this, kicks it outside. Then will be dropped. No, he won't. Still going, and finally out inside the 10. He had a 50-yarder earlier this season. That one will go for 52.
Steve Middleton is going to come in and make the key block. Now remember, Middleton has been replaced by Dimitri Sumpas. He makes a key block on the play, and how about that for now backup Steve Middleton? When he gets a chance to come in and contribute, he does. Not pouting about the fact that he doesn't have the starting job now. He steps in and makes a key block on the play.
And it's first and goal now at the Edmonton 8-yard line. Play action fake. Nick Lewis, touchdown. Fourth touchdown of the year for number 82. And it's now 17 points off turnovers for Calgary.
Nick Lewis lines up in the backfield, and when you're in there, you're usually picked up by a linebacker. In this case, I believe it was T.J. Hill, and T.J. Hill gets picked off and can't get there.
I think he was cleaning a little glass in the end zone.
I'm not sure what it was. I thought at first it was salt shaker or something.
And the extra point is through. And the Stamps hit 40 on the night. Well, the much anticipated Craft Celebration Tour kicks off this Friday from Bay Roberts, Newfoundland, as Sports Center hits the road touring the 10 winning Canadian towns in 10 days. Catch it live beginning at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific as Jim and Dutch, Onrait and O'Toole turn a few Canadian towns upside down.
Me killing T.J. Hill. Killing.
Well, you got some help from Ryan Thelwell, Nick, but it was T.J. Hill in coverage.
And this is Kelly Campbell on another return. Slowed up by Collins, and there's the rookie Carl McCartney to bring him down at the 45.
Nick Lewis did have T.J. Hill in a one-on-one and in the touchdown.
Hey, Coach, you know how I be doing it. You remember, hey, the Grey Cup last year?
We'll show you how he did do it. There's Nick Lewis there. There's T.J. Hill in coverage. But watch Ryan Thelwell, the third guy, the receiver in the slot position. You can pretend to run your route and rub somebody. That looked like more of an absolute pick and contact downfield before the ball was even caught. I mean, that was pretty clear. And a missed call.
Jason Moss with a jam thumb. And as he handed it off, Robert McCune was there.
Let's go back and show you, you know, as a receiver, if you go run a curl route, you can you can sell it. You can try and rub. So if you do that and just get in the guy's way, that's one thing. But if you go out and deliberately try to block him, that's a pick. It's actually illegal to do it. Now, you tell me if Ryan Thelwell is running a route or is he trying to get in the way of TJ Hill?
Guilty is charged. But Nick Lewis is in the end zone, and it's a 25-point Calgary lead. Second and long, and Moss is thinking long. And this one, intercepted Brandon Isaac, and he'll fall out of bounds. Interception for Isaac, and Calgary's football at their own 19. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right.
Beautiful day in Calgary today. It was absolutely fantastic. And you know, a real good day a couple of weeks ago for this football team and for John Huffnagel when they signed to a 3-year deal, long-term contract, Dimitri Sumpas.
Brandon Isaac's interception gives Calgary the football just inside their 20-yard line. Joffrey Reynolds goes to work. 3 more for Reynolds. And another guy that'll be happy to Dimitri Sumpas is back in the fold.
Yeah, and he really played well tonight. You know, there's always sort of, even though you've been in an NFL camp, you got to get back to that yard off the ball, and you've got to get back. He didn't waste any time. I mean, dominant again tonight. And this is a good football team, a first place football team that just got better. And then to see Steve Middleton, who is now the backup, make a big play on the John Cornish run. You know you got something special when that's happening.
2nd and 8. Jason Nugent showing blitz. Over the top, wide open. Nick Lewis. Foot race. TJ Hill will bring him down at the 15. I think the biggest surprise about Nick Lewis this year, he's one of the top yak yard receivers, and he just added a bunch more with that 73-yard reception.
You line up your safety that early against Henry Burris or any veteran quarterback. The safety picked up by Joffrey Reynolds, and Nick Lewis says, well, if there's no one back there, I'm going to cut right across the middle.
Having himself another big night. And his second 100-yard game of the season. He'll take a seat and look on as Burris calls 1st and 10 at the 14. Reynolds shifts gears. Can't get outside and now just drives his way down to the 9. 5 more for Joffrey Reynolds. There's Jason Nugent, the safety, in on the tackle. And with that carry, he now moves into a tie with Tracy Ham. Temporarily tied for 10th in all-time Canadian Football League rushing.
Well, he's in that area where he should be able to get it again. Maybe not on 2nd and 5, but get the first down without scoring here.
Over 8,000 yards in his career with his first carry of the night. A touchdown run and takes the fake there and the throw to the goal line. Touchdown! Nick Lewis has got another. Nick Lewis Nation celebrating.
Not the Houdat, the Nick Lewis Nation. Play action fake to Joffrey Reynolds. I thought he might move into 10th spot by himself there.
Well, Lloyd with the tackle, but it's at the goal line, and Lewis breaks the plane and breaks the hearts of the Eskimos here tonight.
Well, he made the big play down the field with Jason Nugent under the middle and finished it.
Neighbor the extra point. It's a stampede here in Calgary. Our game story is brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Pretty good first half for Henry Burris, and he's picked it up here again in the 4th quarter. 3 touchdown passes. Ricky Ray was knocked out of the football game. We've seen all three quarterbacks for the Edmonton Eskimos at different times. And Nick Lewis, a big play there.
Henry Burris now leading the league with 16 touchdown passes. And a short kick here. Well, this might stoke up the rivalry a bit. Eskimos get on the football. 32-point lead and a short kick. That might raise some eyebrows in northern Alberta.
I love you, Mama. I'm coming home. I'm coming to Texas to see everybody. I love y'all back in Texas.
That's a nice way to get into the bye, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. You got the bye. You want to have that good feeling. It's a long bye if you've just been beat, and if it's even longer if you've been beaten like this.
Jared Zabransky comes back in. This is the first time we've seen him since the Dwight Anderson interception return for a touchdown. By the way, Nick Lewis didn't score a touchdown till week 17 last year. He has 5 of the first 7 weeks this season. Couple tonight in this lopsided Calgary game. Short drop, Zabransky throws a strike, and Andre Talbot brought down by McCartney.
Well, you know, what's the Edmonton Eskimos? Where do they go from here? You mentioned the bye. Richie Hall, who's been under the gun, doesn't get any easier for him, and now he's got to look at how he has to shake this thing up, because now if you're the Edmonton Eskimos, you're at a point where you're bringing in players, the temporary lockers are in, and you've got to start finding out what changes have to be made.
Well, they go back to this Bronco package. And that throw for Kirkland is incomplete. And a little wrestling going on here as Mike Labinjo got jumped by an Eskimo who took exception. And for the first time tonight, it has looked like the Battle of Alberta. Not that we're condoning it, but it took a 32-point deficit to see some emotion out of the green and gold.
Richie Hall is going to try and get his players out of there.
There's Tay George. Patrick Kabongo is in there for Edmonton. And tempers are getting frayed here. Still over 8 minutes to go.
Not sure how it all got started. No, Andre Talbot and Labinjo were tied up with each other. Kirkland goes down. Now, that's Talbot to the left. That's his legs. He goes right over his own player and pulls Labinjo down on top of him. And then Talbot goes after Labinjo.
Brandon Browner's in it. Kirkland jumps the pile. But Labinjo and Talbot were still going well after that play was dead.
Well, and the league is going to take a look at this, all these replays to see where the punches are thrown and things like that. And, you know, to be honest, I would say if you're the Edmonton Eskimos, I mean, this is the type of intensity you need when the ball is kicked off. I mean, there's a punch right there. Kirkland throws one on Brandon Browner, I believe. Wes Lysak grabs him.
Boy, Labinjo really worked over Andre Talbot. 288 pounds up against 194. And this is shades of Ed Hervey swinging his helmet. And I know that Ed, who's one of the management group, who has got the task right now of trying to revamp this Eskimo team, reload it, will, if nothing else, like finally to see a little emotion.
Well, you know, but I've said this many times, that, you know, you want to see the emotion. We've seen it between these two teams. This is a rivalry that goes way, way back in the Labor Day thing and everything else. But, you know, when it's 47-15 and you start swinging then.
No, you're right.
You're going
way too late.
You know, if you're going to play with intensity, and I've said this, you know, when you're teaching kids, right? It's not tough or intense to throw a chair as a coach. It's not tough to get in a fight when the game is over and you're getting blown out to go and take a swing at somebody. That's not tough, showing toughness there. That's not showing intensity. That's showing that, you know, you got to win and you got to lose with professionalism, and you've got to come with intensity like that, use it in the right way from the opening kickoff. Too late now.
Do you think the short kick with a 32-point lead was kicking a little sand in the face?
Maybe, you know, maybe, yeah. And I'm not sure. It almost didn't look like it was planned. It looked like it might have gone off the side of the foot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if John Hufnagel called that play or not. But yeah, maybe that was part of it.
Find out if there's ejections.
Unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 42. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Edmonton number 9. We have a major foul, rough play, disqualification. Edmonton number 89. At the end of the play, 25 yards, 3rd down.
So Tremaine Kirkland in his first CFL start.
Well, he got thrown off
the only player to get ejected.
He got thrown out for the punches. I mean, he was kind of outside the pile and threw some punches that were clear as day. So he got thrown out for those. Who knows what was going on in the bottom of the pile? But that one was clear.
Well, we have some evidence.
I mean, you know, there's no question that, you know, you're on the outside and you're swinging punches like that. Who knows what's going on right down in the bottom of it here? But, you know, and you know, the more I think about it, Chris, I really don't think that onside kick was a call play. It would really surprise me if John Hufnagel with this kind of lead would call it.
Certainly wasn't like a 10-yard.
No, but and it looked like it might have hit the side of his foot. I'm not sure. Either way, though, if you're the Edmonton Eskimos, you don't start swinging punches at this point. It's, you know, to showing toughness now is not the way you go. Simple as that. It's too late.
So the long walk for Kirkland, 25-yard penalty, and Prefontaine getting set to kick it. You wonder if we've seen the last of Henry Burris tonight. Still over 8 minutes to go. And Prefontaine, trouble with another snap. He'll kick it. Will it get to the end line? Yes. So it will be a safety. That's twice tonight for Prefontaine. It has been a miserable night up and down this Eskimo roster. Tim St. Pierre, low, but fieldable again.
Absolutely. One was a little high early on, and one was a little low, but both that Prefontaine has fielded 1,000 times in his career. And this team is just, I'm not sure where they go, but there's changes got to be made. And you know, when you're talking about how devastated this city is with what they've seen this year, you think back to in retro week, Dan Kepley, and you want to talk about toughness and how to come in on the opening kickoff play. It must be killing him. I mean, it's you got to come and play with all the intensity you have out of the gate. Not when it's 47-15 and you're mad and upset and frustrated and you start a fight on the sideline. I mean, that's...
Well, Kepley's been connected with his team for about 35 years, and there have not been many nights that he has had to suffer like this through this kind of lopsided score. Drew Tate is in, as we anticipated, in relief of Henry Burris. There's Joffrey Reynolds. But you know, if he gets a yard there or not to pass Tracy Ham, it'll come soon enough.
You know, you talk about Eskimo football and the tradition. What we saw there was not Eskimo football. So let's see if Joffrey Reynolds can get this this yard and a half he needs, or 2 yards.
2nd and 10. Tate's going to throw. Underneath it goes, and Jabari Arthur has a catch. And another shot from Kai Ellis, and Arthur maintains his composure. The Eskimos losing theirs.
One of the areas that, you know, when you're looking at the Edmonton Eskimos and what's wrong with this football team, I would say that one of the areas of concern, and has been for a couple of years now, is their defensive line.
Major foul,
defensive front
unnecessary
seven.
roughness. Edmonton, number 93. 15 yards from the end of the play, automatic first down.
You know, if you're going to play tough and play hard, and you're going to do that in the opening snap, then that's one thing. But again, the last time that, when was the last time, the question being was, did the Edmonton Eskimos have a dominant pass rush?
Been a long time. Joffrey Reynolds into the top 10 in CFL rushing. Well, he is going to climb more rungs on this list. But ahead of Tracy Ham tonight, the Hall of Famer. Not likely to get to 1 or 2, but he'll move up in this distinguished career, and his next target will be Kelvin Anderson.
Look at the two leaders. He's got to do what he's done so far. He's got to do again to get to Mike Pringle and George Reed.
2nd down, Tate. R.J. Franklin the catch. And another Calgary first down, pulled down by Rod Williams.
Boy, you know, the one guy is going to need some ice, but he's going to be a little sore tomorrow. Will be R.J. Franklin, but he'll take it because he'll take the win, and he'll take the touchdown that he caught over the middle, which was a beauty, taking a big hit from Maurice Lloyd and hanging on to the football.
And got cranked by Rod Davis in the second half, but done a nice job at wideout, settling in now with this Stampeder team after a big trade last September. For Joffrey. And Joffrey inside the 30.
We talk about big hits on R.J. Franklin. We're talking big. I mean,
this is toughness, though.
Yeah. Oh, just to hold on to this football. Great courage. He didn't try to avoid it. He knew in order to catch it, he had to continue with his route. That was a touchdown. And then in the second half, Rod Davis just runs over him, and maybe one knocked him woozy and the other one knocked him back.
Cobwebs cleared. First Calgary Stampeder touchdown in this game. And Joffrey Reynolds with a run now inside the 25 for another Calgary first down. By the way, the highest point totals of the year came in that first game of the year in Saskatchewan. Rough Riders with 54 in overtime, and Montreal with 51. And Stamps poised to perhaps have the biggest single-day tally of the season here.
Another 300-yard passing game for Henry Burris.
3rd of the season for Burris, who was over 70% again and has been since that 4-interception game against Toronto. The only blemish on the Stampeder record this season, and that's the first 300-yard passer against the Eskimo defense that came in ranked number 1 against the pass this year.
Well, and he's got his right guard back in Demetrius Sumpas. He's got his go-to favorite target back in Rambo.
Tate looks for Bellwell, and a great pass and catch there down to the 7-yard line. And every time we see Drew Tate, you say, wow, this guy's got something, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there's a guy that they are grooming. Ryan Thelwell, the 3rd receiver in there, just sit down on the sideline. But yeah, they're real high on Drew Tate.
So 1st and goal. Fake to Reynolds. Looks into the end zone. And it is a touchdown. Robbie Bryant, what a catch. the biggest single game offensive output of the season.
And the Calgary horse is getting worn out. The horse might need some ice.
And the Edmonton Eskimos need some new horses.
Yeah.
Romby Bryant with his 5th touchdown catch of the year. Lewis has 5. R.J. Franklin with 1 tonight. Maver the extra point. That's a 56 on the board for the Stampede. Rogers Cup women's tennis begins tomorrow live from the Uniprix Stadium in Montreal. Coverage begins here on TSN, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Andy Murray winning today over Roger Federer. And the Calgary Stampeders winning going away.
Yeah, and they're getting into the 70s look.
Yeah, they got the 70s thing going. Drew Tate sure does. Jamaica Rector up to the 30. He's cut down by John Cornish, and a little jostle along the sidelines again. Matt Bertrand's involved.
You know, Henry Burris, certainly not retiring Henry Burris right now. He's 35 years old. Drew Tate at 25. Already 4 years in the CFL as a backup, and everyone really talking highly of him, and you can clearly see he's being groomed. And I'm just not sure in the 70s, what were we thinking with that, the big chops and the mustaches and the...
You took it into the 80s, though, didn't you?
I took it deep into the 90s. What was I thinking? But the entire team, I mean, some are better than others, I think, on the stashes and things like that. I think a lot of the guys got into it, the backs and receivers.
First down.
As a face mask penalty against Calgary, didn't pick up the number. Matt Bertrand came back at one of the stamps and came pretty close to getting a roughing penalty of his own.
Cody Pickett was the 3rd string quarterback for the beginning of the season, and that guy now is Darryl Clark, who is from Penn State, the same school that John Huffnagel went to.
George Zabransky drops a snap, and he'll get swarmed for another Stampeder sack, and that's Tom Johnson at the bottom of the pile. That will be his 1st of the season. Well, the bad news for the Eskimos is after the bye, they're going to have Calgary 2 of the next 3 weeks. Zabransky, there's Rector with the catch, and he'll be brought down short of the 1st down at the 51-yard line.
Well, when you look at this Edmonton team now, there's a couple of things. You've got to start to say it's at that point where major changes have to be made. And whether you're talking about coaching changes, I know a lot of people have talked very highly about Richie Hall, but you got to make drastic changes at this point, and certainly there'll be players coming in. I'm not firing Richie Hall. My point being that
3rd down, Zabransky down. Another turnover on downs. Miguel Robide with the sack.
This is the team that is hosting the Grey Cup Championship this year, and clearly are not good enough in the front 7 on defense. You could probably start there on this football team. You know, the loss of Fred Stamp's devastating, but you have to be able to absorb injuries. Every team faces them. You may not have your starting quarterback for the next little while. You're not sure. It was a collarbone thing. They'll examine that over the next couple of weeks. And Stamps, it's the shoulder, Fred Stamps, so we're not sure how long he'll be out.
Eskimos beat Calgary in the first meeting last year, one of the more remarkable games on the schedule, with 2 touchdowns in the final minute, a 38-33 win. This a far cry from that, and it won't get easier. look at the combined records up against Saskatchewan, the back-to-backs against Calgary, then a trip to Montreal, and suddenly Toronto's no easier. Well, they've already beaten the Eskimos once.
Well, how about Toronto has beaten Calgary and Montreal this year.
John Cornish at running back, the 3 busiest guys in Edmonton during the next couple of weeks will have to be Paul Jones, Dan McKinnon, and Ed Hervey.
And are you at a point where even if Ricky Ray is healthy, and I'm not saying Ricky Ray has been the problem, do you start to say, you know, is Jared Zabransky, is it time to see him play a full game? And they may not have that choice anyway, but if you're deciding between Jason Moss and Jared Zabransky, you know, I think you know what you have in Jason Moss. And he is the number 2. But if you're sitting at 1-6 and the playoffs are fading away in a hurry, it's time to look at what the future holds, and maybe Jared Zabransky is the future and he should be playing. I mean, there's lots of things that are going to happen over this bye, and decisions and discussions that have to be made.
3rd and 4, and Dales looks for the corner. High boot, and it is going to fall inside the 10-yard line. We'll see where the spot is. I had those 3 gentlemen as the busiest in Edmonton, unless Rick LaLacheur has even more work to do. We'll find out if this accelerates the process for a new general manager or not.
Yeah,
one thing's for certain, Danny Machocha, in the post-Machocha era, the Eskimos now 0-2.
Yeah, and I don't know that you know, Rick LaLacheur speeding up that process is necessarily a good thing. I mean, he's got to make the right decision with regards to that. And that, if that takes some time and even goes into the offseason, that's one thing. But the on-field product now, really, you have to change your thinking. First of all, clearly the players that are assembled here are not good enough. And whether that's the dynamic in the locker room.
Marky Whitlock running hard. And up across the 35-yard line with flags flying. Excuse me, that's Pascal Fiss, the rookie, with a good-looking run in his first CFL run.
Major foul, face mask, Calgary, number 31. 15 yards from the end of the play, automatic first down.
And a penalty against the safety, Wes Lysak.
Wes Lysak's played most of this game, and he had been switching in and out a little bit with Eric Fraser. Veteran safety. Made some plays early in this game. The first half, he was sent on the blitz a bunch. It's no fun when it is just...
Most points Calgary has ever put on the board against the Eskimos. And this is Pascal Fiss again, product of Sherbrooke, who led the CIS in rushing last year. And you can see that the tempers are boiling over. That's Aaron Fiacconi, the Eskimo center.
I understand the frustration, believe me. I've been there. I mean, I've been on the wrong end of games like this, and I understand Aaron Fiacconi's frustration. But there's a minute left in this game, and he ran a guy over a pile. I mean, he's right in the middle of your screen. And you know, just tell me if this is the way you want to conduct yourself. I mean, he plays over, there's a minute left, and he throws a guy on top of the pile and then starts throwing a couple punches. And I understand the frustration. And Aaron Fiacconi is a solid football player and a character guy, but it's just not the way you conduct yourself. Simple as that.
And John Hufnagel agrees with you. Miguel Robide was the other player involved in that, and he has been sent to the Calgary dressing room.
Yeah,
he went to the sidelines, and John Hufnagel pointed right to the room.
You know, that is how you handle it.
Major foul, rough play, disqualification. Calgary, number 96.
Well, that's why, too.
Major foul,
He's been
unnecessary
disqualified.
roughness. Edmonton, 10-yard offset, first down, Edmonton.
You know, Robide was going to the locker room whether he was disqualified or not. I mean, he gets disqualified because he's going to give him a punch. Okay, so, you know, he's going, but John Huffnagel was pointing to the locker room before he knew what the penalty flag was.
He was emphatic about it, no question about that.
And that's what you handle. That's how you handle it, whether you're up or down. You know, how you conduct yourself on the field is important. Win or lose, blow it or not. And I wouldn't be surprised if that cost him in the pocketbook on an internal matter for the Calgary Stampeders. Or maybe he's just buying food for the team at the next special teams meeting.
Hard to believe that the Edmonton Eskimos have a winning record at McMahon Stadium. In the 50-year history of this stadium, the Eskimos have won more games head-to-head than the home team. But the Stamps making up for it tonight. We've got more flags, and this last minute may take a while. The Eskimos have not won here now since Labor Day of 2008. One win in their last 8 visits. And it's hard to imagine this team regrouping.
Pass interference, Calgary, number 27. First down.
In time to be able to beat this Calgary Stampeder team on Labor Day.
Well, and you know, when you watch the Lions struggle on the West Coast and you watch the Edmonton struggles, you say there at times there were moments in the early part of the season where you said, you know, they're not that far off.
Jared Zabransky. There's a completion to Jamaica Rector. Boyd Anderson holding on, and then he gets help.
But you know, and maybe if you're a BC Lions fan, you're hanging on that maybe they're not that far off. You know, if they can get some protection issues sorted out on their own line. But I think with this Edmonton Eskimo team, they're far off. This team I'm trying to find the right word, but dysfunctional comes to mind. It's just not coming out with any intensity.
There's Zabransky ducking one and then getting hit, and the ball falls incomplete. Well, we joked about nobody thinking the Toronto Argonauts were going to have 5 wins at this juncture of the season. A lot of the pundits thought this team was a contender in the West, and it's just really hard to fathom that Edmonton, BC are both 1-6 heading into the bye.
Yeah, but you know, the concern has been the defensive front 7 and whether or not you can win in the trenches. And I don't think that change is coming in. And it certainly doesn't change from what we've seen. I mean, did Henry Burris get hit in this game?
Untouched.
And that has been an issue for a couple of years here. You know, or sorry, not here, but with the Edmonton Eskimos. Henry Burris was hit 1 time in this football game.
1 time. Our guys have been tracking it.
And I'm not putting it all on the defensive line. I mean, or the front 7. But certainly when I looked at this team coming in, I kept asking the question, who is going to be the dominant pass rusher in that group? I mean, Kai Ellis is the veteran, and they like Kenneth Petway. They think Kenneth Petway could be a future guy, and maybe he can be. But this is also a team that look at their Canadian talent, or maybe lack of at some spots. They get Andre Talbot. That's supposed to help him this year. Hasn't really yet. Hasn't been used much.
2nd and 10. Zabransky with a pump, but now he's in trouble. Chase way back to the 35, throwing it into the end zone. 2 there for the Eskimos, and it's caught. Kelly Campbell, who's been the best Eskimo tonight, has the touchdown catch.
You know, and I know fans are going to watch that throw from Jared Zabransky and probably agree. Again, you know, the one thing that I would say about this team is it hasn't been Ricky Ray, but that was some kind of throw. I'm not sure if Kelly Campbell did hang on. He ran into his own guy. It's rolling around. It's on the back of, well, maybe it didn't hit the ground. It looked like it might have hit the Calgary defender.
If that didn't hit the turf, it could have been, under different circumstances, the highlight of the night.
Oh, it did hit the ground.
Clearly hit the ground. Clearly hit the ground.
Yeah, it did hit the ground.
And we're into the final 3 minutes, and
the previous play is under review.
Yep.
there's such a crowd around that football that the view of the officials on field were blocked by all the different angles, but clearly that rolled around on the ground.
And Kelly Campbell knows it better than anybody.
Yeah.
As he tosses it away.
It's on the ground there. No one has control. It's on the ground, rolling around, and then Kelly Campbell turned around and kind of he sees it sitting there, so he scoops it up, lands right in his stomach,
and not very long before Kim Murphy has a verdict.
Review, the ruling on the field is an incomplete forward pass.
I like the throw, though. I really did. I mean, I don't even know how he kept that in bounds. He was running so fast to his right, threw across his body. Jared Zabransky really put it on the money. I mean, this is really difficult, folks. I can't emphasize enough how hard it is to run that fast and be that accurate on a throw. Maybe it's time to give him a couple of games.
So it's 3rd and 9. And a shot at the end zone for Zabransky. Kelly Campbell, and this time, does he have it? Yes.
Well, let's take a look, because I'm not sure if he did catch it.
Let's have another look.
They're fighting over it here. It rolls out.
No. It's just not going to end well for the Eskimos tonight, is it?
Well, even if he did catch it, they only need. If he did catch it, they only need 3 or 4 in 7 seconds.
Fans see it on the scoreboard, and Jake Ireland's got to place another long-distance call.
The few fans that are left, they still love the rivalry.
Previous play is under review.
Because they're right into it. You know, they're right into it. They don't want Edmonton to get anything.
It's the most drama we've had in about an hour.
This guy's still having fun here, saying, no, don't give the Eskimo. Let's review that. Little Sweet Caroline in the background. And
well, not many made the trip down from Edmonton, but a couple have been here all night.
Yeah,
and they have suffered through most of it.
It's about there.
After review, the ruling on the field is an incomplete forward pass. And 1st down, Calgary.
So it's a turnover on downs. That's the 4th turnover on downs on the night. The Eskimos tossed 2 interceptions. They've gone from -8 to -14 in the giveaway takeaway tonight, and that's a league worst was even before tonight, and it only gets worse. And Kelly Campbell thinks he made the catch that time. And
yeah, but Kelly Campbell, I mean, there's been 4 teammates trying to get him off the field, and he needs to get off the field. I mean, this is professional football, and that's not acceptable. I mean, this game is over.
And the video evidence was clear, but even if it wasn't,
it doesn't matter.
We're 56-15 or 56-22. Time for one more knee, and then Richie Hall and the Eskimos can get out of town. Well, the Stampeder team has been the story of the first 7 weeks. They run their record to a season best, 6-1. And Richie Hall and the Edmonton Eskimos, the bleeding continues. They're now 1-6. The biggest single game offensive output in the history of Calgary versus Edmonton. A 56-15 Stampede. So long from McMahon. SportsCenter's next.
We here, baby. Come holler at us. We waiting on y'all.
This is SportsCenter.